What's going on, guys? So we did a little stuff yesterday. Got this one ready to go. Got to tape this up and get it painted. It's all sanded and ready to get taped up. I think I'm going to try some essentials on this. I have some PPG single stage, a white kit that I might try on this one. It's a 3-quart kit. I think it'll cover this. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the reduction, see how it reduces. But I'm gonna get in here today and clean all the sanding residual up off the dash and vacuum the car out and clean it up inside before I paint it. So all that's done. And worked on this a little bit. This is real discouraging here. I use the essential epoxy primer on this. No etch. I just epoxied it over the bare steel. And it's an epoxy that'll go over bare metal. It's sort of an industrial epoxy. The essential line is sort of like for equipment painting and stuff like that. It's an industrial coating sort of. And I was told that it had really good protection and stuff, although this car did get put back outside, which is a big no-no if you put primer on a car because it's very porous. Even epoxy primer is porous. And this has epoxy on it with 3 coats of HS3 high build over the top of it. And yesterday I brought this back in and started working on it. I got all this knocked down. Had to resand all this in here and etch it and kill the rust. Anytime you got serious rust, you know, and the metal's pitted, this stuff will stop it. The acid has a reaction with it and it sort of inhibits the rust. The epoxy though, from where it's set outside under the shed, this thing's all rusted under the primer. It was a little rough in the lines here, and I blocked this down yesterday, and you can see little rust spots coming through. So I'm gonna have to go to town on this with some 80 grit, and I know that panel over there is full of Bondo, so I won't have to do the quarter on that side. But every other panel on this car is rusted under the primer now, so I'm gonna have to strip it again. And of course, I won't have to get into here, but everything on the exterior is going to have to be stripped down, edge primed, and then re-epoxied. And I'll probably just leave the epoxy out and go right from edge primer to high build this time. I seem to have better luck with that. And go with that. That's how I usually do it. This one was asked to be done different, and it bit me in the, you know. So what can you do? Also, I got this deck lid painted. I got to go to Knowles tonight and work on Lily. So I got that sprayed with some of that $70 clear there. Looks really chainy. I like the way that sprays out. It is a 4-to-1, but it does spray really nice. So that's done. I'm gonna prep the top. That's just gonna be some 320 on that, nothing major. And then I had a couple questions about the head stuff. And I promise I won't put any more head videos up. Seems like nobody is interested in that stuff. I had a couple guys that commented on it, but a lot of guys aren't interested in the mechanical stuff, it seems like. I don't leave a lot of comments and people don't interact with the videos, so I don't know what's going on with that. But somebody wanted to know how to cut the stones, if I had something to cut the stones, and the answer to that, of course, is yes. Of course, I have something to cut the stones. This is a diamond cutter, and it shapes the stone, whether you want a 45, 50, you can put any degree on there you'd like. There's a scale there. And you just loosen the thing, put it on whatever you want to cut, your 45, your 60, your 70, your 30, whatever you want, 15. It'll cut all the stones the way you want it. It's got a diamond tip right here, and you just run it through there and use the tool to turn this, and then you just go down like that and the diamond cuts it. This cutter also comes out and dresses the wheel here where you reface the valves. Here's the refacer for here, and basically this goes in this slot over here. You loosen that like this. This comes over in this slot, and you can put whatever degree you want on that stone too. I have several different stones that I keep. There's a pile of them in there, and they have different textures on them for different finishes on the valve. You know, depending on the RA you want on the valve surface. That's the finish you're putting on the metal surface of the valve right here. So hopefully that answered the questions. And then the other question was, why do we need to lap the valves in? Well, the reason we lap the valves in is if you ever started a motor up after you get a set of heads back from the shop and it runs sort of rough for the first few minutes and then it comes around, that's the valve making a seat. When you cut the seat, you're making a seat. When you lap it in, you're registering the valve to the seat. You're actually mating it to the seat and you're sealing that surface. If you just cut a set of heads with, I don't care what you use, if you just cut them and put them on the motor and don't fire the motor up and leak the engine, you'll have leakage usually through the valve seats until the motor breaks in and the valves seat on the seat from making contact. A lot of guys will just cut it with a Surdy. When I used to work at the machine shop, we would cut all the holes with the Surdy on the seat and guide machine, and then you just slap the valve in against the seat and you could see the line, the witness mark that it makes on the valve. And you'd know you had a seat. The Surdys and the new way cutters are much quicker at putting a seat in. They cut a much smoother seat. So, you know, lapping the valve in has become less critical with that equipment. With a stone, you know, you always want to lap your equipment in. And the other reason we lap the valve in is to see where our actual seat is. You know, when we lap the valve in, we actually get an idea of where the valve is making contact, you know, where your line's at. You saw when I was lapping those in, the gray line that comes up, that is your sealing surface. On the intake valve, you tend to want it more towards the top of the valve. And on the exhaust valve on the street, you want it sort of in the middle. On a race application, you want them all the way out to the edge. The further to the edge, the more power. And I always just like lapping the valves in because it's absolute. When you start the motor, it's pretty much how the motor is going to run. You'll notice when I start my engines, they pretty much fire up and run like they're going to run. And that's from lapping the valves in, making sure the carburetors are synchronized, the valve adjustment's right, and the timing's close to where it needs to be and all that stuff. The initial fire up is very critical on a motor because the more you crank the motor over, the more you're wiping the cam lube off the cam, the assembly lube. And the cam lube has got a break-in grit to it that mates the lifters to the cam. And as you crank the motor, that wipes off and you lose the ability to break the cam into the lifters. The more you crank the motor, the more of that stuff you wipe off. So I like it to fire up right away and run like it's going to run. But that's what's going on. Somebody asked me about this 356 motor. It's a 1958 three-piece case. It's got Solexes on it. Or actually, this one has the I think they're Solexes. They're not P11s though. The 912 Super 90 had the P11 two-barrels, and these are smaller two-barrels. This motor still runs pretty good though. It's a sweet piece for sure. So that's all where the guy on the tubes just rebuilt one of these and put a video up. That was pretty cool. A little motivation. Definitely want to get this done, but I have to get these bug motors done first. I got my case. I got one set of heads here. We have our second set of heads here. And I had somebody ask me about a set of heads for 1600, Super 1600. The cylinder heads, they start at $200 a piece, and they go up depending on what you want done on them. You know, we can get new heads, however you want to do it. Some of the new heads aren't very desirable, some of the castings that are around right now. But a good set of used heads, you know, a good port job, a good three-angle valve job, you're probably going to be looking anywhere from $400 to $500, depending on what you want in the heads, as far as valve springs and retainers and stuff. But right at around the $500 mark, right underneath there, you know, and then the shipping, that includes porting the head, the valve job, making sure the surface where your cylinders are going to sit is machined correctly, and setting up the spring heights and all that stuff. So we put a set of used heads on the last Super 1600 we built, and they worked out real good. Those were ported, three-angle valve job, and a set of high rev springs with some good retainers, and they worked out real well. So yeah, you know, just let me know on the heads. I know there's a couple guys that have been wanting to send Volkswagen heads, and they haven't sent them for some reason or another, and that's not a problem. If you send them, I can do them. If you want me to get you a set of heads here, I can do that too and save you the shipping as far as shipping your heads across the country to have them done. I'll make sure that you have a good set of guides and the valve job's good and the port works nice, and I'll build you a nice set of heads out of something that I have here. I have some nice castings now. So that's not always the case. This last batch that I got, the heads are very low mileage, and you can see from the inside of the valve area. Somebody else wanted to know how I get these so clean, and the process that I use is I've got one actually soaking out here. This stuff here is worth its weight in gold. This is some Chem Dip. This is a 5-gallon bucket. You sort of got to have one of these if you're messing with Volkswagens, because being air cooled, that they really get grody. And what I do is I soak the head in here, probably for I gotta find a push rod tube hole here. Hang on a minute. I'll soak the head in here for a couple days, a day. The stuff used to work in a day. You can see how clean that is. And I soap and water it after this procedure here, and then it goes in the sandblaster, and it gets them pretty nice. Yeah, I don't want to get that stuff on you. But yeah, this stuff works pretty good. It's not cheap. I want to say it's right at about $100 for this bucket of stuff, but it does save a lot of time when it comes to cleaning the stuff, you know. These can be real hard to clean because of the air-cooled nature and the stuff's baked on. So after it soaks in there for a day, it'll be manageable, you know. Stuff will come off, and then you don't have to kill yourself over here in this. This is stage 2. They go in here next and get blasted, and of course they go back into safety clean, get washed after they come out of here, and they'll go for the valve job and port work, whatever I'm going to do to them. And then after I get done with the valve job and the port work, they go back in the safety clean, soap and water, hot soap and water, and then they get assembled. So that's how I do that. That stuff there is pretty good stuff. It's a carburetor cleaner, just a bigger jug of it. So works really good if you're gonna be soaking stuff. And soaking's better than scrubbing any day of the week. So that's what's happening here. Not a whole lot. Things are moving along. This one's definitely, I talked to Scooter, he definitely wants this car, and you know, even with the quarter panel over there, he's not too concerned because the car is not very rusty, other than the surface rust, of course. And that's something that we can deal with. That's from the car sitting around. But this will be next. We'll get this out of here. Tonight I'll take a little road trip over to Knowles, see if we got any diesel parts. And I know he ordered a bunch of tranny parts, a couple ring and pinions and 2 tranny cases, and some other stuff that we needed. So should be getting some trannies built here. We got a race in a week or 2, and should be getting back on that diesel. So I was feeling pretty crappy for a couple days, well, about a week now, and I'm where I can drive again and function. So we'll go over there tonight and give him a hand with that and see where we're at. And like I said, I got to do some buffing on Lily and get the deck lid bolted on and stuff, and that'll be done and out of my hair then. So unless I run into something else. Noel's house is real bright over there, so you see every little imperfection. So it's probably how this should be here. But you know, he bought all those brand new light fixtures with special bulbs and stuff, and he's in a different income bracket than I am. So some of us have to do with what we got and have to work with the light that we have. But yeah, as far as normal stuff, it's not bad. But you know, when you put stuff over there in his garage, it's like a magnifying glass. So we'll get it fixed, we'll get it rebuffed, and just a little dirt here and there that I missed over here, and some spots that need to be rebuffed. You know how it is when you buff it and don't get it shine all the way back up. So I'm gonna cut this one short, 14-minute vlog. It's pretty damn long. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you guys are getting some warm weather soon. I know a lot of people got snow again. Got some emails and stuff from people saying that it was snowing, and I hope winter cuts itself short here soon and the sun comes out for you guys, because I know when the sun comes out, the videos increase for sure once guys can get back in their garage. But yeah, so we're gonna do some valve guides too. I had the guy that asked about this, but I want to go ahead and do the whole thing. Show you the valve guide driver, and I'll show you how I tap the bottom of this guide, put a bolt in it, and drive down on the bolt and push the guide through. So we'll get to that. And then somebody asked about a seat. And this head needs a seat. I took the seat out already. I can tell you, you take them out. All you got to do, if you have a MIG welder, you just weld the seat. It'll shrink it up and it falls right out of the head. And I'll leave this hole really nice. You don't have to cut it out. And you can measure that hole and determine what kind of crush you want. And you measure the hole, measure the outside of the seat. Again, you freeze the seat and heat the head. Drive it in there with a seat driver. And the seat driver basically registers off the guide and drives the seat in there. And then of course you got to valve job it, So I think I'm going to go ahead and I only have one of these heads. This is what is this, a G04 or whatever, G03. This is a fairly new head, a G01. Whoa. Hopefully that wasn't zoomed in for too long. It's a G01. G01, and this was a motor from Daytona Beach that made it to 92 in the truck route and blew up, and then it got towed here, and I pulled it apart and it had this one new head on it with the valve seat hanging out of it. Actually, a piece of the valve seat fell out. Not the whole valve seat, but just a chunk out of the face came out. And this is one of those new heads with the torque box in it there. So if I can find one more of these and pull these seats all out, put bigger valves in here, this might be a nice set of performance heads to fly cut and open up for bigger cylinders and stuff. So that's what's going on. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off rambling. Hope everybody's doing good once again. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll talk to you guys later.